The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not represent the position of the host, this show, or any organization either party is affiliated with. All content is shared purely for educational and inspirational purposes. Nothing discussed here constitutes professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information before acting on it. The host is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from guest statements. By listening, you agree that you are solely responsible for how you use the information shared. Welcome to the Tech Sharmit podcast, where technology is not just news, but the roadmap to the future. This is a space where we explore the latest tech trends, AI, startups, gadgets, and the ideas that redefine the way we think. Leading this conversation is Amit Sharma, globally recognized as Tech Sharmit. A technologist from Bharat, Amit brings an Indian perspective to the global technology landscape. With deep technical expertise and strong industry insight, and for his contributions and impact within the global tech community, he has been recognized with several prestigious honors, including Google Developer Expert, Microsoft MVP, IBM Champion, and Planet Mainframe Influencer. Through this podcast, he shares practical knowledge, real-world perspectives, and globally relevant thinking designed to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving technology landscape. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Tech Sharmit channel to stay updated with future episodes. And if you're looking to level up your skills, don't forget to explore the Tech Sharmit digital course book in the description box, where you'll find thousands of free programming courses curated to help you grow as a developer. So plug in your headphones and join us as we begin today's episode of the Tech Sharmit podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I'm joined by another very special guest, Heidi Schmidt, who is joining us from Germany. If I talk about Heidi, then he is a managing director at PKS, a shareholder at Time to Act, and a strong voice in sustainable IT transformation and women in technology leadership. In today's episode, we will talk about leadership, legacy modernization, women in tech, and building sustainable organization in a rapidly changing technology world. But before we get started, I would like to thank Heidi for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Sharmit, for being invited. Hello, my name is Heidi Schmidt. I'm the managing partner of PKS Software located in Germany, and I'm very happy, Sharmit, that you invited me to your podcast. As we are both IBM champions, it's great to see and speak together.
Thank you for the introduction, Heidi. And now we will try to know a bit more about yourself, because those who know you, they know about your active contribution as an IBM champion and your professional contribution as well. But we just wanted to know a bit more about your career, your mentality and psychology also behind leading this IT industry. So we'll start from the LinkedIn tagline itself, because your LinkedIn tagline says that remember who you are. So what does that mean to you personally as well as professionally, when you what were the moment that realized that yes, this is the perfect tagline for your profile?
Yes, so this Remember Who You Are is, to be honest, a song which I like very much. But it's also a very personal sentence, because it reminds me not to reduce myself to a title or a role or a company. It's or even the expectations of others. So personally, it means for me staying connected to what gives me energy, curiosity, courage, dialogue, and the wish to help people and teams to unlock their potential. And in a professional way, it means not trying to become a copy of someone else's leadership style. I worked in a very technical, historically male-dominated environment. You already mentioned that. Yeah. And it's easy to think you have to adapt completely to fit in. But I learned that real impact comes when you bring your full self into the room. Correct. Your experience, also your intuition, your values, and the ability to connect people and bring them together.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm also agree on this point that when you come up with your 100% yourself, right? You know about your competencies, you know about your expertise, right? So in that way only you can contribute. Otherwise, you will try to put yourself into someone else role, someone else profile, right? And that is not the right way, because when you come up with your all 100%, then you know like what to share, and you can discuss it with confidence. So I think that is the best thing, and I think this is a tagline that everyone can follow in their journey as well, that
Yeah.
remember you who you are. So that's a great philosophy.
And
Okay.
maybe one small addition, because it fits also perfectly in the modernization area where I am
Yeah,
active,
right.
because here also for companies, it's very important to understand their roots, also the roots of their software systems, and then to decide what fits to the future and what must to leave.
Correct, right. Yes, and you touched a very important point, that is a modernization, and we all know that nowadays, like, people see legacy system as a outdated system. But I saw one of your post and one of your blog also, where you mention and describe it as one of the sustainable and trustworthy platform. So why do you think
Mhm.
like these systems continue to matter, especially in the era of AI? Because nowadays everyone is AI driven in this IT platform. So in this environment, why you believe that yes, a legacy system is one of the most sustainable and trustworthy platform?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very tipping point, even in today's times. I think many legacy systems are not old because they failed. They are old because they worked. I think this is a
Yes.
very important issue.
Correct.
So when we are looking in the banking, insurance, also in the logistics or manufacturing industry, many of these critical businesses still runs on IBM I and C, running
Correct.
COBOL, RPG applications, and these systems have proceeded real business for decades. So they contain tested business logic, the regulatory knowledge of the special branches, expectations, customer specific rules, and also operational experience. So it's not only waste in it, it's the institutional memory of the companies. And in an AI driven world, this becomes now, I think, more and more important, because
Yes.
AI is only as good as the context and the fact you give it. So if you want AI to explain, refactor, or modernize your legacy code, you first need to reliable understanding, the
Correct.
dependencies, the databases, things like that. So I think, especially in the AI-driven world, legacy is really a big value for customers. So it's not, I think the future is not legacy versus AI. I think the future is AI on top of the understood, governed, and well-documented legacy systems. So legacy systems, I think, are not the opposite of innovation. I
Yes,
think
right.
unclear systems are the opposite of innovation. And that's also why we at PKS strongly focus on analyze and optimize existing software.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm also agree, because if we look at the recent innovation, whether it's IBM Bob, especially, who is AI, like IBM Bob is a AI tool, right? And
Mhm.
when we operate it with IBM I system, we can see a great impact, right? Because it knows the syntaxes and everything. In fact, personally, I created some of the videos on IBM Bob, so I utilized it. And those who are from the IBM background, COBOL background, if they are utilizing and adopting these kind of modern tools, then we can't say that they are outdated, because this is what exactly moving towards, right? AI is something that everyone is looking forward with to contribute in AI and IT industry, right? So that is the one thing. And you know what, Hedi, like in every podcast we conclude that it's not a legacy platform, instead it is a legendary platform. So I think you are also
Absolutely.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. Okay, so now moving ahead, Hedi will talk about one of your another thinking that you often say, that you are quite vocal about moving away from all or nothing thinking. So, in a very simple terms, could you please explain like what it is all or nothing thinking, and how it can be useful, especially for those freshers like who are about to join the IT industry? So, what exactly this thinking behind? What is the reason behind this thinking?
Yes, so the reason behind this thinking is that when we are under pressure or when we think we must decide, we typically think, okay, should I do this or that? So this means these all or nothing. So decide if you want to get rid of all of your legacy or stay with it in total. So this is one example in modernization. And when I started my career, I always heard customers, okay, we want to decide if we replace or keep it, or if we go to cloud or on premise, or if we want to do it on the old way or on the new way. Is COBOL better than Java? So all these very radical and binary decisions.
Correct.
And I think this is not how the world is working. For sure, in the IT world, with these binary concepts in a lot of things, and quantum maybe will bring another aspect in there, but so
Correct.
far, IT mainly was binary thinking.
Right.
But I think the world's too complex because typically not a whole system is old. Maybe there's some technology in that's old. Maybe there's some code in that's old and needs no longer to be used. So the right answer is typically not everything is bad or everything is good. The right answer is understand it, segment it, clean it up, and then modernize it step by step with an approach that fits to the functionality of the
Correct.
special domain.
Right.
And also maybe I see this in leadership also, because in leadership you all also find concepts like, are you more a soft leader or a strong leader? Are you looking more for people versus performance, or are you more traditional versus innovation? And I made the experience, this is a very unnatural thinking.
Correct.
And most bad transformations started, I think, with a false choice or maybe a too early choice, when
Correct.
not
Correct.
understanding everything.
Yeah, I think this is something that every leader should understand, that take your time, go with all kind of choices and then decide, because if you decide it in a very early phase, it might also impact your environment, your work culture. So I think that's a great thought you just shared with the audience. Okay, so now, although we know you that there are so many accolades, so many titles moving around your profile, but out of all those things, I think one of your proudest accomplished is helping the PKS becoming 4 times more profitable under diverse leadership. So could you please share, like, what were the biggest mindset set shift that enabled that transformation for the PKS during your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are four mindset shifts. The first mindset shift was moving away from ego to team. So because a company does not become stronger because one person has all the answers, it becomes stronger when people with different strengths can contribute, and when leadership, like me, creates enough trust for honest and open discussions. The second shift, I think, was from activity to effectiveness. So especially in consulting and software services, you can be very busy and still not create enough value. So sometimes it's more important to reduce your portfolio, so become much more clearer for the market you want to address, and also decide which customers you want to serve, and maybe which customers are not fitting to your philosophy. So this makes it more effective for us and also for the customers. The third shift, I think, was respect for difference. I made the experience that diverse leadership is not just about gender. It's about different perspectives, different risks profiles of different peoples, also different communication styles, and for sure different ways of thinking. But it's but this can become very uncomfortable. So you need some techniques to stay in dialogue and then it leads really to better decisions. This was our experience, but it's not an easy game, yeah, because every one of us is thinking differently,
Yes.
and bringing this together creates better solutions. But the way to come to these solutions is sometimes a little bit longer.
Correct.
Yeah. And the first shift was to stop seeing legacy as a defensive topic.
Yeah.
So we tried to reframe it as a business critical and future oriented discipline. So this
Correct.
changed also our attractiveness as an employer. So it was easier to find young people also to learn RPG or COBOL and get interested in helping companies to understand what's in their legendary systems and modernize them step by step.
Correct. I think you really touched a very important point, because this is also a kind of massive generational knowledge gap in many organizations, especially when we are talking about IBM, COBOL, or other legendary platforms. So, what do you think? Like, what are the most creative solution like you have seen when you are working in, especially in bridging that knowledge gap? So, what's one best or most creative solution you have seen that can bridge the knowledge gap between knowledge gap for these kind of legendary platforms like IBM, COBOL, and other stuffs? So, what are the best practices?
Yeah, I think for me, the best practices is that it needs to be, or it had to bring experienced developers and the younger generation together, because
Okay.
senior developers, for example, they have worked on a system for 25 years
Right.
or more. But if you simply ask this person, please document everything, this
Right.
typically fully fails because it's too abstract, too big. So what works much better, I think, to bridge this generational knowledge gap is to bring generations together around the concrete business question. So
Correct.
I think younger and experienced people, they need to really work together. How does this billing process really work? Which programs are involved? Which
Correct.
interfaces are risky? So I like formats when experienced experts explain the why, and young developer maybe ask the why not. This is
Correct.
something like a little technique we typically are doing, yeah, that the young developers really also um, trust their self to ask silly questions, yeah.
Correct.
um, and also that the experienced one stay there and provide their experience. So I think it's very important to extract the knowledge from seniors, and I think that's not something the seniors should do by their own. Yeah, they should do it in combination and communication set up with the younger people.
Correct. Yeah, and I think this is the point where we can also take the help from AI system, because as I mentioned, like recently I worked upon IBM Bob, and for this kind of knowledge bridging problem, like what I did, I wrote one kind of master prompt, and then that prompt act uh, as a way to prepare the documentation for the younger developers. So let's say if your team is introduced with some new fresher or some trainee, and you want to share the all information regarding your platform, so that prompt I fed to the IBM Bob with some sort of examples. So what it did, like it prepared a complete knowledge transformation information by understanding that code in a very simple terms, and also it come up with almost frequently asked questions. So in that way, like what a senior developer can do, like they can simply provide this kind of prompt to the fresher. They can run it on a IBM Bob or maybe any other tool they are utilizing. So it will give them a complete picture, and once they have that complete picture, they can discuss it with their senior member that yes, I understand this part, now I have these kind of questions, could you please help us? So in that way, I
Mhm.
think things would be much more easier, because we are not spending the entire time to explaining that entire source code. We are just providing a kind of document that is generated by AI itself within a few seconds, and
Mhm.
then we can help on the top of it as a senior person, so that you can easily transfer whatever you have learned, or like your 20 years of experience, you can conclude it into one or two document in a better way. So I
Mm.
think here, like, we can utilize the AI to transfer the knowledge in the better way. Okay, so now, Hedy, we'll talk bit about your other contribution as a woman champion in the technology field. So you are clearly a champion for women in tech. So what's the one conversation the industry is still avoiding from your perspective? Like one thing that you think, yes, industry is still avoiding it. So what is your opinion on that, especially for the women's?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we are talking a lot about getting more girls interested in tech.
Mm-hmm.
And for sure, that's important in the beginning. But I think the conversation we still avoid is the power. So who owns a budget in companies? Who
Yeah,
owns architecture decisions? Who gets the P&L responsibility? Who is trusted with the difficult customer? Who is invented when strategy is shaped? Not only when the diversity is discussed. So
correct.
women do not only need encouragement, I think, they need really access to responsibility,
Yes, right.
economic power, technical authority. And I think we also need to stop treating women in tech as an exception or a
Correct.
nice initiative. Yeah. And when you look in the historically, women were central to programming. When you think about Ada Lovelace or Grace Hopper, they were not side notes, they were part of the foundation of our industry. So I think the question is not how do we make women fit into tech? I think the better question would be how did tech lose so many women? And what must leadership now change to win them
Right.
back? Because in the beginning, the computer science was mainly woman dominated.
Correct. And I think you just shared a very important thing that it's not like that we are just encouraging women, or we are just showing it as a nice initiative. Instead of that, we should give them a proper responsibility so that they can show their expertise on work, especially. And you know what, like sometimes people also feel that they are giving freedom to women's, whether in personal life or in a professional life, but I believe that freedom is not something that we can give to anyone, right? It's everyone's right.
Mm,
So there is nothing that you are doing in a great way, because this is something that everyone owns, right? You just need to trust each other, and you need to just give them a responsibility so that they can show, like we are doing. So likewise, everyone can put their efforts, and they can see the outcomes from it. So I think that's
mm,
the better way to see this picture when we are talking about the women's in IT industry.
mm.
Okay, so here I would like to take one advice, especially for the young women stepping into the tech leadership role. So, what advice would you give to those women like who are about to step into the tech leadership role today, that nobody gives you in your initial days? If you think that yes, this is something that could be very helpful when you are provided with this kind of advice in your early on. So, what one advice you would like to share?
Yeah, so my preferred advice would be don't wait until you feel perfectly ready. So
Okay,
I think many talented women, they want to have the perfect expertise, the perfect answers, perfect preparations, because women or girls are, I would say, especially they are grown up in an area typically where they have to be and want to be perfect. But I think leadership often starts before you feel ready. You grow by taking
correct.
the responsibilities. So second, I think it is important to learn the language of business,
Yes.
because technical credibility is important. But if you want to influence, you need to understand numbers,
Yes,
customers,
that is very important.
profits, strategies. So the moment you can connect technology to business value, then people listen to you.
Correct.
And the third one I mentioned already earlier. I think it's important for a woman stepping into the tech leadership role, not copy a leadership style that does not fit to you.
Yes. Right.
So, because I think you can be empathetic and commercially sharp, and there is still these not one and only thinking. So I
Right.
think it's very important that you can, ask questions and also lead strongly. And maybe finally, building a network, I think, is also
Very
important
important.
for young women. I see a lot of initiatives still here. And I think such communities also like Common Europe, having
Yeah.
mentors, peers, this is not a luxury thing. They are really part of your leadership infrastructure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you just mentioned about the common Europe. So I was about to ask one question on that only. So what makes event like common Europe or maybe the train the boss so valuable for professional in the IBM ecosystem? Do you think that it is helping both the professional members, also the freshers like who are about to join the industry as a fresher?
Yeah. So maybe as a punchline, I would say the events like this turn hidden experience into shared confidence. I
Okay.
think this is very important because the IBM ecosystem is some kind of special because of so much knowledge is based on experience. When you step in, maybe you cannot understand IBM I or C only from a product brochure by IBM. So
Correct.
you need to talk to people who run these critical systems, have done migrations, failed with dismissal projects, did modernizations the one way, then the other way, things like that. I think Common Europe there is very valuable because it brings that community on a European level together. So you can meet experts from
Right.
IBM, from business partners, from customers, also the IBM champions, which is a special group within IBM.
Correct.
And also, young professionals are there, but also long-time platform specialists. So you realize there the ecosystem is not standing still, it's evolving. And I think this gives a very good energy when people then go back into their company. The Train the Boss events we are running from PKS maybe have a slightly different purpose.
Okay.
Here we are focusing on helping decision makers to understand legacy transformations without that they do not need to become technical experts, but also we have the goal to create a better dialogue between these managing people, the software architects, the developers, and also the business stakeholders. So at Train the Boss, we are more trying to bring different people together that have different views on the IBM INC system, and on the Common Europe, it's much more technical, I would say.
Correct. Okay, so I think now everyone knows the real worth of these kind of initiatives and community events. So I think everyone can join and try to explore more about your platform on which you are working for frequently. So fine. Okay, so now Hadi, I think we discussed so many things regarding technical, your technical expertise, also the industry, like how industry works. Now we know that there are plenty of other things that we can discuss here for sure with you, but we are short on time, so I just want to take a couple of more questions regarding the network of support, because I believe like behind every successful person there is a support of network. So looking back on your career, like who were those key people around you who had a defining impact on your journey so far?
Yeah, so I thought about it, and for sure a few persons came in my mind. So I think first, in my early career, the trust is incredibly powerful. So in the beginning, when you are starting after university, you need really someone who is seeing your potential, bring you in the right first jobs. And here I want to mention Heiko Meyer at Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard was a company when I started my career after university. Later, Heiko was managing director of Hewlett Packard, and I had the chance to work for him several years earlier. So he was for sure my first mentor, and he really trusted in my capabilities. And this was from now, it's 30 years ago. It was really great.
Correct.
I think the second very important person was my managing director, Roland Zurawka. He is running the company since 20 years now with me. So with him, I experienced respect and empathy because we started in a very difficult time at PKS. It was business was not so good. We had to overthink our portfolio, things like that. And Roland has many qualities and talents that are totally different from mine. So in the beginning, it was very hard way to work together. But we understood very early that these differences really makes us a perfect winning team. So I'm very grateful to have him on my side. And then for sure also because I have also a family and two boys. My partner Peter was also very important because he also always believed in me. He fully supported my path even during the baby years. So I did never had to step out of business. We always find ways that I could work further on. And I think that's also important that you have a partner or a family setup where you really can have people who help you to make things done. Yeah. And also for sure, when you are running a company, you have several good coaches and external partners. I'm a big fan of having coaches and external partners on the long run, so not changing them every few years, because I think it's important to have people who really know you from outside and guide you through things like brand positioning, organizational development, all these things that are normal when you're running a company decade by decade.
Okay. So it's good to know like how like people support each other when we are working both professionally as well as personal. And I think these kind of support is very important for anyone who is into the role of leadership or who in the role of contribution, because if they have that kind of support, then only they can come up with their 100%. So I think that's a great, and thanks to all those who supported you. And before we conclude the discussion, Heidi, I just want to take one more question, and this is regarding the place you belong from. So, what's the one? I know, like there are plenty of things that in which Germany has contributed to the global community. But if you had to select one best thing about Germany that you feel proud to share with the rest of the world, then what would it be?
Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's really about engineering depth still
Okay.
and also long-term responsibility, because I think here in Germany we are maybe not always the fastest. Sometimes we are complicated, I think, also maybe too cautious and sometimes too perfectionistic, I would say. But what we are really good in, I think that we are care deeply about quality, reliability, and responsibility. So I think this is all what we see in the German Mittelstand, which is still the motor of the economy. And also in software, when you think about SAP as a global software vendor. And I think here in Germany, things are built to last. So I think a lot of companies and people here are still trying not to make a quick fix, but really make things that can evolve over decades. I think this is some strong element here in Germany. And I think maybe that's also a message Germany can contribute to the technical world. So innovation does not always mean just speed and disruption. Sometimes innovation means making value things future-proof. And yeah, that's maybe also why I love to work on legacy modernizations, because there you need this also.
Okay. All right. So, yep. Thank you so much, Heidi, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing so much information regarding the IBMI modernization, world culture, and also the role of women in the industry. It was pleasure talking to you here, and I hope you also enjoyed the discussion. So, thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you next time.
Yeah. See you.